Hey, my name is Rowan Smith and I want to welcome you to the Training for Trekking podcast. Now, this is the world's very first podcast which is entirely dedicated to helping you train, prepare and conquer your upcoming hike, trek or mountain adventure. So once a week, I'm going to be giving you quality and practical information on the subjects of physical preparation for trekking, dealing with altitude and nutrition on the trail, so you can know everything you need to be doing to have the best chance of a safe, enjoyable and successful adventure. So now you know what you're in for. Let's get into today's episode. Today we are talking about 1-minute workouts for hikers. Now, I'll be completely honest, it's probably not a workout we're talking about, but there are many times in the day and in the week where if you're preparing for an adventure or if you're just trying to stay fit and active, there are little periods in your day where you can fit in a little bit of exercise. And over the long term, these tiny little bits of exercise can add up into absolutely phenomenal things. And it's tiny bit by bit by bit by bit, day by day by day, week by week by week, and you really can make a genuine difference. Now, this is absolutely fantastic for someone who works a really busy life and doesn't have much time to do general training and a full training program. You can sort of build out your training program with this, or alternatively, someone who's working in an office or at home and they're feeling a little bit achy and painy and they just need to get moving a little bit more. So today we're going to be specifically talking about things you can do at 1 minute or less in those situations so you can keep yourself moving forward. Now, a few times you might consider this. As I said, if you are working at home or in an office is usually the classic examples. A few situations if you're at home or if you're in the office is using an on the hour or a certain timer where you might say, all right, every minute, every hour, I've got to get up and do something. If not, I'm going to either get really sore or I'm going to miss out on my training. And you can literally set yourself a timer for 25 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, just a buzz every single hour. And you get up and you do 1 minute of exercise or 1 minute of training. You can do this before or after work. If you sort of are like, look, I wake up, I've got 1 minute to train. I'm just going to smash it out. I'm going to do 1 minute of something here, then hop in the shower. And every single day I'm going to do that. That's going to add up. The same thing after work. The second you get out of your work clothes and change in your comfy clothes. Just do 1 minute of exercise there and then finish off your day. Pretty simple thing to do. You might do this in your lunch break. If you were having a 20-minute, 30-minute lunch break and you're like, look, I've only got a small amount of time to get my lunch, get my coffee. I'm just going to start off with 1 minute of exercise, smash that out beforehand, and then go relax. You might do this in between meetings. So if you're back to back all day in meetings, whether they're over Zoom meetings, if you're working from home, whether it's in the office, you might just do 1 minute of exercise in between as you go in between, just to clear your head, get the blood moving, make yourself feel a little bit better. And that's an incredible productivity tip as well, which many high performers use and advocate, of just doing a 1 minute of exercise between things, and it can really keep you going. And then you might use certain triggers through the day. If there's certain things you do multiple times a day, you can attach that to a certain exercise as a trigger to remind yourself to do it. So a classic one of this is a doorway trigger, in which I think I've talked about previously. If you're walking through a doorway regularly, so if you're walking from home, the doorway to your home office, or if you're in the office, maybe the doorway to the break room or the doorway to outside your cubicle or something like that. Every single time you go through that doorway, you have to stop and do 1 minute of whatever you choose. Or if it might be something that you do regularly throughout the day. And a classic one is a kettle trigger. One of my clients the other day, David, he was saying he gets 8 cups of tea every single day. So we were like, you know what? Let's put an exercise on top of that. So every time you're waiting for the kettle or put the kettle on, you do 1 minute of exercise. And it can literally be anything you regularly do at home. It might be any time the dogs bark. It might be any time you finish a call, which I've used with clients before. It might be any time that you go to the bathroom, whatever it may be. But there are lots and lots of opportunities you can fit in this tiny little bit amount of workout, which can really add up. So now that you know when to do it, I'm just going to list off a whole bunch of different options of exercises that you can fit in these minutes. Now, this isn't comprehensive. This isn't conclusive, but these are all relatively simple things you can do, which you can just do at home in the home office or in the normal office. You don't have to change out of clothes. It won't get you too sweaty or anything like that. So I'm going to break them up into strength, mobility, cardio, and extra exercises you can potentially do. Now, strength exercises is super simple. You literally just choose any exercise you can do, which is going to be able to do in your work clothes, doesn't require any equipment, and you're just going to do anywhere from 5 to 15 repetitions of that. So some classic examples of that might be some lunges, some squats, some calf raises, some glute bridges, mini band walks or monster walks. If you want to carry around a mini band, you might do some push-ups either off the floor, off a counter, or off a wall. Any of those, really, really simple. If you do have access to equipment, whether you're at home or, you keep a dumbbell under your desk at the office, if you want to be like that, you can do a few bits and pieces there. Now, I've had literally clients who are working 80-hour weeks, even up to 100-hour weeks, and who's end up doing calf raises every single meeting they go into. And that was just a way of getting some calf training in because they had very, very limited time to train. And there are certain exercises you can do without people looking funny at you. And there's certain ones you might have to find a little quiet space. So strength, just choose whatever you want to do. 5 to 15 repetitions, bang it out. Mobility exercises can be just as valuable in this situation. So if you are sitting down all day, just doing a bit of mobility can just make you feel good, release some aches and pains. Alternatively, if you know certain areas in your body are tight and regularly tight, and that's affecting you on the trail. So common examples are here are your calves and your hip flexors for hikers. And if you know you need to improve your mobility there, the number one factor when it comes to improving mobility is exposure, meaning you just want to be stretching again and again and again and again. So this can be a really great opportunity. Now, a few classic examples here. You might do a calf stretch where you just push your calf against the wall. You might do a world's greatest stretch, which if you don't know what it is, look it up on Google. It's absolutely amazing. You might do the figure 4 stretch where you're just sitting in your chair, pop one arm, one heel over one knee and lean forward and get a bit of a glute stretch. You might do a hamstring stretch where you just pop one foot up on a chair. You might do a neck stretch, which everyone's necks are pretty tight sitting at a desk. You might do a door stretch where you're like inside a doorway and you've got your arms up to 90 degrees, elbows at 90 degrees, and just push forward and feel a bit of stretch in your chest. Again, you can choose whatever you need to do there, but you can literally do 30 seconds on each side, boom, done, back into it. Really, really great to add into your day. Now, as cardio options, this is probably more geared towards those who are working from home because obviously you don't want to get too hot and sweaty if you're in the office or anything like that. So if you are working from home or if you don't mind doing these in the office, they can be a decent option. So 3 exercises you might consider doing. Number 1 are pogo hops, which is pretty much just on 2 feet, just jumping up and down like you're skipping, but without a skipping rope. Now, as I've said a few times before, these are fantastic for hikers, just develop a little bit of calf endurance, Achilles resilience, feet resilience, and it can be really great depending on what shoes you're wearing. Mountain climbers, now I generally don't recommend mountain climbers for hikers just because I think they're not because they're bad, they're just so overdone in the fitness world. But in this situation, they might be relevant. So you can drop down on the floor or off a chair, do 30 seconds, 40 seconds of mountain climbers, then get back to it. You might even do some old school star jumps. And like you were in gym class, have a few star jumps and get back into things. If you have access to like a stationary bike or a cross trainer, you might do a 30-second sprint or something like that. Those, as I said, those are probably more geared towards those working from home, but you can have a think about that. And then there are a few extra things you can do. So say you've got your minute timer, and you're like, you know what, actually, I don't want to do a strength exercise. I don't want to have a stretch. What can I do positive? Well, there are a few things you can do here. Number one thing I love is abdominal breathing, which I've talked about many times in this podcast before. Basically breathing in through the nose, feeling the belly expand as opposed to the chest and the shoulders, and feel that belly go in and out. Do a minute of that while you're at your desk. That'll make you feel amazing. That'll focus you. That'll re-energize you. And it's also a great technique for your time on the trail. Another one is using visualization. So if you are leading up to a big adventure, you might start thinking about what you're going to experience on the challenge. So how are you going to feel when you're going up a big hill? How are you going to feel when you're doing your summit push? How are you going to feel when you're doing a river crossing? Really, really imagine it in your head. Try to paint it out in vivid detail, and then just try to imagine how you feel in a positive light. So your legs are strong, you're feeling strength, everything's going well. Or you can even imagine your workouts if you have a tough one coming up. And that can actually be a really, really powerful tool to improve your performance on your workouts if you vividly imagine you doing it. And there have been some studies that have shown literally imagining yourself performing strength training can make you stronger, which is absolutely mental, but it is true. So this can be really, really powerful. And then the final one you might consider is doing some affirmations. So if you set yourself a few positive affirmations, which are basically specific positive statements to help you through a certain situation, you can practice these at your desk, because the more you practice these types of things, the better. So for example, one that I use for myself is, your legs are strong, this is easy. Or you are feeling great, or you are prepared for this and you're going to conquer this. And you can literally repeat this to yourself, quietly in your head while you're at desk. And this type of thing, the more you do it, the more you associate positive feelings with it, the more you practice it, and the more you think about what you're trying to achieve while you're doing it, the more powerful it gets over the long term. So that's a very, very powerful technique. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into what you can potentially fit in to the small parts of your day where you've only got a minute or so to train. And, you might think, hey, what's the point? Is this really going to do anything? Even in the smallest sense, if it helps your energy, if it helps your stress, if it helps your concentration, if it helps your productivity, if it helps you feel less comfortable sitting down all day, that's already an absolute win if you tick off one of those things. But on top of that, if you are consistent with these things, they add up so well over the long term, and they really, really can be the difference between getting through an adventure and really, really nailing an adventure. So I highly recommend having to think about where you can fit these in. Now, if you have enjoyed this episode and you were wanting a little bit more advice around this, or you're wanting some of those exercises broken down, maybe video tutorials or descriptions or anything like that, I highly recommend you join up on the Training for Hiking and Trekking Facebook group, which is my private Facebook community for aspiring hikers who are interested in their training. Now inside, I'm sharing loads more content every single week and building a lovely community of hikers who want to get involved and talk about fitness and training and mental preparation for the trail. So if you want to find that, you can go to Facebook and look up the Training for Hiking and Trekking Facebook group. Alternatively, you can just go down the show notes and I'll leave a link there. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. Bye.